Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Mondo 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. Now today we are taking a look at none other than Kratos himself, based off his appearance in God of War. Now, I'm a recent fan of the series. I only just finished the 2018 game. I know, I'm a slacker. But as soon as I did, I immediately ran out and grabbed this guy, as well as my copy of Ragnarok. I'm a good chunk of the way through. Now, if you are heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, one of my favorite things about Mondo figures is the packaging. I know, crazy to say, but for those of you who don't know, Mondo also makes high-end art prints, and when they do make figures, they kind of combine the two for some very nice synergy, meaning the art prints on the box are absolutely stunning. Front and center, we do have the chains of the Blades of Chaos plus God of War. I also love the colors and the satin finish. On the side of the box, God of War. On the back, Kratos' face, the Leviathan axe, plus his shields. Now, if you slide off the top cover, you can see a bunch more of the artwork underneath. You do have all of the realms on the world tree, plus his name down below. If you flip open the top cover, we do get a sneak preview of the figure inside. But as you all know, we're not here for sneak previews, oh no, we're here to review Kratos himself. Now, I am hoping eventually that someone makes Atreus, because as we all know, he plays a big part in not only the first game, but an even larger one in the second. Now, third-party companies are making a version of Kratos as well from Ragnarok, and don't worry, when they come out, we'll do a proper comparison. First in-hand impressions, though, are that this guy weighs a ton. He's really heavy. What we are going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first, it's pretty simple and it's relatively small. On the underside, we've got this M print, maybe for Mondo or Medusa, I don't know. Up top, though, it's completely blank. We also have a regular crotch grabber. Now, I would have preferred a God of War symbol on the top, but leaving it blank, I guess that kinda works too. It's nice and clean. Now, you'll have to forgive me if throughout the course of the video, I refer to the 2018 game as the first and Ragnarok as the second. I know, technically they're the fourth and fifth games, but I don't know what to tell you, they feel almost entirely different, like a new breed of God of War games compared to the first three. Now you, of course, get the Leviathan axe. This is the more simple version from the start of the game. If you did get the deluxe Kratos, though, you would get the upgraded version, which looks way cooler. Unfortunately, I only got the standard. Now, the standard axe still looks good. There's some sculpt work on the blade and working its way down the hilt. There's also some scripture on the hilt, some wraps, and it's all well painted. It isn't, however, Hot Toys quality. If that's what you were expecting, you might be disappointed. The same exact thing goes for the head sculpts, and we do get two of them. They are technically well sculpted and well painted, but they do look a little bit flat and simple. Maybe that works for you because this is a video game character. It doesn't have to be super HD with the detail. For me at least, I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more. Now, the stoic head sculpt is my favorite. I think the likeness to Kratos is absolutely there. The intensity of the expression is spot on. I also like the wrinkling on the forehead and even some wrinkling around the back for Kratos' bald head. My only complaint for both of them, though, is that the beard is slightly too light in my opinion. I think it should be a little bit darker on both of them. Then we have the all-out Spartan Rage Mode head sculpt. It's very angry. His eyebrows are super furrowed and his mouth is wide open. The only complaint I have specific to this one is that his top row of teeth are kinda tucked up under his moustache, so from the front, he doesn't look like he has any. It kind of makes it look like he's grandpa without his dentures, but if you look on the underside, they're still definitely there. My favorite accessory here though, hands down, is Mimir, aka head. Now, I don't exactly know how realistic a talking severed head with horns and one eye could be, but this guy does kinda look slightly cartoony. He does have some wrinkles and bags under his eyes and his forehead, so technically speaking, okay, it's well sculpted, but the paint kinda lets it down just a little. I do like the gold for his one eye, although later in the game he gets his second. I would have liked to have had a second Mimir with both eyes, so you would have had the option of either one. On the underside though, there is some absolutely nasty detail. His head was severed by the Leviathan axe, and you can tell, because of that glossiness, it's still pretty fresh. Up top, you do have this permanently attached rubbery plastic rope, so Kratos can either hold him, or it can dangle from his belt. In the game, whenever you need the shield, it kind of just pops open. Now in figure format, they couldn't really do that, so instead they give you two options. One with the shield fully collapsed, and it's quite well painted with some dirt and grime all over, suitably filthy. And the other where it's fully open. Now this one does have some red on the inside, I like that pop of color, but there's no handle, and you may be thinking, oh no, how does it attach to the figure? Well friend, it's pretty simple. There's a magnet inside the center of the shield and on the gauntlet, so when you pop this on, it holds in place. And you all know me, I love my magnets. Now we also get some smaller accessories, the first of which is the blade that Kratos forged for either Atreus or himself, because as he said in the game, he made two of them. And we also get phase ashes in the little bag with the scripture around the bottom. Now, seeing as though the ashes and spreading them on the highest point in all the realms was kind of the whole idea of the game, yeah, I'm pretty happy they gave us the ashes. My second favorite accessory though, or technically I should say accessories, are the Blades of Chaos. Now, if you get the deluxe version of Kratos, you do get some upgraded versions of the blades too, but once again, I only have the standard, not complaining though, these look really cool. There's a decent level of texture on the blades, plus some cracks and crevices. And I'm pretty sure that redness is supposed to be dried blood, really gnarly. Then for the handles, you do have a real metal chain that you can unravel and wrap around his gauntlets. I'll show you what that looks like a little bit later. Now there is a teeny tiny loop, so if you wanted to, you could undo the chains, cause in the games, he does that as well. I've always wondered how that works though, cause when he stores them on his back, the chains are just automatically disconnected, but when he brings them back down, the chains are reattached. Maybe it's video game logic, maybe it's magic, I don't know, it's a real head scratcher. Now you do get multiple sets of hands, open palm hands, closed fists, and gripping hands, and the best part is, they all come with their own wrist pegs, you get a bunch of spares. On one side there are some sculpted leather wraps and an armor plate, whereas on the other it's completely bare. Now what we are going to do next is get Kratos himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses, but wearing a bunch of accessories cause they're kind of important parts of the outfit to complete the overall look. And when you do complete that look, it comes together beautifully. Is this guy 100% perfect? Hell no, we've got a whole bunch of stuff to discuss, don't you worry. From limited articulation, to exposed joints, to proportions that maybe aren't 100% perfect. At the end of the day though, even I will admit, Mondo were quite clearly punching above their weight here. What do I mean by saying that? Well, I own a bunch of their Batman the Animated Series figures and I love them, I genuinely do, but they're kind of supersized versions of 6-inch figures with exposed joints and some visible ugliness. This guy comes across like a proper high-end 1/6 scale figure. Up close and personal, kicking things off with the head sculpt first, the standard non-screaming one. Don't worry, we'll get the other one out here in just a minute. Now this one I think is my favorite, like we discussed earlier. It sits kind of high on the neck, but from the front, because of the beard, it makes him look a little bit stumpy. It looks like the proportions are slightly funky, but trust me, in person when you see this guy, he looks big. He looks beastly, exactly like Kratos should. I am actually starting to warm up to this head sculpt, but it's still far from perfect. Because you can't see the top row of teeth, he kinda looks like Grandpa Kratos, and when you have the mouth open like they do here, his beard sits even lower. So like we discussed on the neutral expression, it kinda makes it look like he has no neck, and with this one, it's exacerbated even further. It's not terrible, I can totally see myself using this in certain poses, but for the most part, I'm gonna stick with the other one. Around the back, this is actually the view that we'd see most of the time in the game because we're playing third person, so they had to get this right, and luckily, I think they did. There's a spot for everything, and everything is in its correct spot. Starting off with the Leviathan axe, it simply slides through this Omega ring, which is plastic and quite thin. So when you slide the handle through and it flexes, please be really careful. You also have this hide that's been folded over, just like the game, it's glued in position, so this flap is relatively secure. Then on the belt, you've got multiple loops and sections where the pieces slide onto. It's once again pretty secure. You've got this string for phase ashes that loops around the top. The blade also just hooks onto the belt, same thing with the bag, and then of course Mimir. Now Mimir has this little loop that just slides over the top of the pleather belt. He is quite heavy and the loop is quite flexible, so if you get too crazy with your poses, don't be surprised if Mimir takes a tumble. Alright, let's do it. Let's talk about the body. For the most part, I like it, but it's far from perfect. It is big, it is beefy, it's clearly Kratos, but could they have done seamless? That's the one big question. Now, his upper torso is a separate piece to the lower torso, and I know you can see that because there's a huge seam line. It sticks out like a sore thumb and doesn't really give you a ton of range of motion anyway, so I would have been perfectly fine with this, the entire torso being one unit. And that's what the third-party company's doing, so I'm pretty excited to get that one and compare him to this one. On one side, we've got this sculpted shoulder pad and this piece on his bicep, free floating so you can move it around. It's also painted really nicely to look like pleather, but it isn't. Like I said, it's sculpted plastic. We also have the red markings, a Kratos signature. They're not overdone, they're not super vibrant, but they're still definitely there. I mean, you can see them. There's also a decent level of skin texture. You've got the scar, you've got some vein work, and a little bit of shading in the muscle groups. Like I said though with the red, it's not overdone. His elbow joints though, not only do they function poorly, they look really ugly. Mine has an ugly sprue mark front and center, plus they're completely unpainted. You could technically turn his arms in and bend the elbows just a little, but you're not fooling anyone, they're still definitely there. The gauntlets are an asymmetrical design, just like in the game. On one side, we've got the wraps and bandages, all nicely painted, but removable. So if you wanted to, you can take off the hand, remove the gauntlet entirely. And underneath, you've got the scars from the chains of the Blades of Chaos. Now, his forearms are quite skinny because they wanted to accommodate these wraps, so I'm pretty sure most people, including me, are going to keep them on. Whereas on this side, you can see the scars poking through, but the gauntlet does have a hidden feature. There is a magnet integrated into the top and the bottom. So when you slide on the shield in either the collapsed or expanded state, it simply magnetizes on and holds really well. Plus, there is a hidden secret feature. If you do have him holding the blades and then you wrap the chains around, because there are magnets in, it holds the chains where they're supposed to be. They shouldn't be all dangly. Don't forget though, on the other side there are no magnets, so when you wrap the chains around, just kind of tuck them in, otherwise they will be dangly. Now you do have multiple belts. One is pleather, and I like the way it's tied and kind of drapes down the front. It's nice and dirty and grimy. The one underneath that though is sculpted plastic. It's nice and tight to the body and everything kind of sits where it's supposed to. We also have this pleather loincloth that looks haphazardly stitched just like the game, and there's some dirt and grime on the stitch sections because That's where dirt would be collected. It is pleather though, so I am worried about longevity, but for now, it feels really good. On the underside of that, you've got these red tattered sections all the way around. Some of them do have some press studs. Once again, I'm going to say it, dirt and grime, they're absolutely filthy. When I alluded to proportions earlier, this was what I meant. The legs are kinda skinny. For a dude as well built as Kratos is, his legs should be big chunky tree trunks, but they're quite skinny and it does stand out, especially from a distance. The pants are just straight fabric, I like the texture. You also have knee pads which do tend to sag down all the time. Even when you push them up, they do tend to work their way down, especially when you bend the knees. They're this sculpted rubbery plastic, and they are, once again, an asymmetrical design. Coming down to these boot pieces, it's a split-cut boot design. This can move up and down, freeing up the foot for a maximum range of motion. There is also some tread sculpted in. It kinda looks like it's been all scratched and damaged, as Kratos has been kicking some serious butt. For a quick side-by-side comparison, next to another PlayStation exclusive game character in 1/6 scale, it's Hot Toys classic suit Spidey. Kratos is bigger, he's wider, he's a lot beefier, and I was kind of worried he'd be out of scale and maybe a little bit too small, but no worries there whatsoever. In my opinion, Mondo got the scaling just right. Going over articulation, do bear in mind this is my personal copy, so I'm going to be a touch more careful. Also, if you're expecting something that can give you crazy poses, I'm going to set the expectations right now. This guy ain't it, he's relatively static. Starting off with the head sculpt, it's on a double ball peg, looking up to there, looking forward to there, swivel and pivot side to side. The arms will go up to there. Yes, I'm serious, that is the max. Going forward to there and back, although it's super stiff on my copy. Single bend at the elbow, getting you to 90 plus a swivel. As for the wrist peg, hinge and swivel. The torso does crunch forward and back just a little, swivel and pivot. The legs will go forward to there, although I'm really fighting them. Going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Double bend at the knee, going just past 90, because this piece collides with his thigh. Then lastly, for the ankle, a hinge and swivel. Wrapping up on Mondo's Kratos in 1/6 scale from God of War. Going into this, oh man, I was so freaking excited. I'm a Mondo fan, I have their entire Batman the Animated Series line. I also love the game, I just finished the first one and started the second. So this figure pretty much arrived to my doorstep at the perfect time. Does that mean by default he himself is perfect? No, he isn't. I'm going to let you in on a little secret when it comes to figure reviews. Even when a reviewer tells you something is the best thing ever because they're kind of falling victim to the hype train, I'm known to do that myself. You can look at the figure in the video and make up your own mind, form your own opinion. So even though I'm telling you I like this guy, irregardless of the fact that his joints are ugly and don't work very well, plus the paint isn't perfect, if those things are deal breakers to you, simply don't get him. I'm really glad I did, but for now, this guy's my only Kratos in the collection, and I'm not mad at that. This guy's still pretty darn good. I kind of wish I'd managed to get the deluxe version with the extra Blades of Chaos and the upgraded Leviathan axe, but I didn't. The only option I had was the standard. Fingers crossed, if you're looking for one or you get one, you have the option of either version. At the end of this video though, the review would not be complete without a special thank you to my buddy Will Voxification. He insisted, Justin, you need to play the games. I told him, Will, no, not interested, not my thing, but luckily I listened to him, I played them, and I'm more than happy to admit when I'm wrong, because in this instance I was. The games were awesome. So once again, thank you, Will. If you are heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.